Greetings, Watford fans. Omar Moore here, and welcome to this brand new Orns Friday Focus for Brentford versus Watford. And that's right, Friday Night Lights as the Watford come to Brentford at their community stadium there in West London in Hounslow to take on the Bees. It's the Bees versus the Hornets in the Premier League under the Friday Night Lights later tonight as Watford will try to put things right with a win. That would be much needed as Watford sit just 3 points above the relegation zone, one place above the relegation places, and with a goal difference that's actually not as strong as Burnley's below them. Watford have lost more games in the Premier League than any other team. And part of the reason why is because they have yet to keep a clean sheet this season, and the defense is still a problem at the Vic, at the travel, wherever they go and wherever they are, the defense has often been the biggest liability. And for Watford to have any chance against a very game Brentford team on a Friday, they will have to perform very well defensively as a Brentford side that knows nothing else but going forward, relentlessly so, are going to give Watford all kinds of problems. And Watford are going to have to be very busy in this game. Now, look, this is a very important point to make. Watford cannot afford to play a high line against Brentford. They tried it against Manchester City a few times, but they cannot do that against a Brentford side that are going to be relentlessly pushing and they are going to be moving all the time. The big break for Watford is that they don't have to face Ivan Toney, he's out, and they won't have to face Sergi Canos, he's out. But the thing that they have to keep in mind here is that the press can only be used sparingly in a game like this because Brentford do exactly the same thing. These two teams, in some senses, are mirror images of each other, particularly now that Claudio Ranieri is on board as Watford head coach. He has made Watford more dynamic and forward thinking, just the way that Brentford continue to be under Thomas Frank. It's going to be quite a battle, although I don't feel that there's going to be a whole lot of goals scored in this game. I think that there are going to be elements of this game that see these two teams cancel each other out. I don't think there's going to be more than 3 goals total in this game. And I do think it's going to come down to the odd goal. But if Watford are going to get that odd goal, they're going to have to try to keep a clean sheet here. I think this is their best chance to do so, even though Brentford are a team that score average around a goal and a half to 2 goals a game, which makes them a very dangerous threat. But without the likes of Ivan Toney and without the likes of Sergi Canos, I think that Watford will have an edge, even though they are missing Ismail Assar for the fourth game running. He will be out for a prolonged period of time. The other thing to keep in mind is that Watford could have Ken Sema back in the squad as early as later tonight, which is remarkable when you consider that Ken Sema had gone off with a knee injury and it looked pretty darn bad, or a hamstring injury or thigh injury, whichever it was. And it looked pretty darn bad and bleak for him, but he has worked extremely hard to get himself ready to the point in which he could be in the squad for this game, which I think is a remarkable recovery. Adam Messina is not going to be out for as long as first feared. And Francisco Sierralta, is continuing to work the team. He's rejoined them in the training drills, and he could be back in the next few weeks before the end of the calendar year, which I think would be a phenomenal achievement because he just had a hamstring injury about 3 weeks plus ago. And I think that would be a big boost for Watford defensively. Watford are going to have to, though, get back to defensive basics for this game and do the disciplined and fundamental things that can keep them strong at the back. I think they're going to be very busy doing some rear guard defending against a Brentford side that is going to be relentless going forward, especially at home. Brentford are the kind of team that will go as far as they can with their relentless press and their attack. And they are also a good counter-attacking team as well, Brentford. So Watford are going to have to be disciplined and patient before trying to pick off Brentford in their own counter-attacking way. I think Watford, the keys to winning this game is to try to stretch the pitch, play out of the press by passing the ball long. And that's going to require good movement. It's going to require precise passing. It's going to require movement off the ball and movement into space. And the passing has got to be even crisper and sharper, I think, to deal with a Brentford side that are going to have a lot of the ball in this game. I wouldn't look at the previous outings that Brentford and Watford have had. They don't really mean anything. This will be the first time that they have met each other in the Premier League. And with Brentford and Watford now both in the bottom half of the table after Brentford got off to a very good and solid start, it's now looking like what I expected it would look like, which is these two teams right now, at least in this part of the season, in the bottom half of the table, trying to push for a better place to be. For Watford, as they say, it's an important game. They are again sitting just above Burnley in 17th place and 3 points clear of Burnley, but with an inferior goal difference. The key is to keep a clean sheet. I think if Watford can keep a clean sheet in this game, they have more than an even money chance of winning the game, especially without Tony and especially without Sergio Canos, who is a creative player, a playmaker, and a goal scorer. I think that's a massive threat that Brentford lose. But don't forget, Mbuemo and Wisa are two goal scorers who can light things up. I think Wisa leads their team in goals scored, which means that Watford are going to have to be very careful here. Watford, though, have goal scorers of their own, and I think you're going to probably see Cucho Hernandez in the starting lineup after his exploits. I say, why not start him? I can understand the arguments that say, well, leave him on the bench and bring him on and let him do his thing the way he did against Manchester City. But I do think this is the kind of game against the Brentford side where I think Watford have to go at it from the off. I think Watford have to be patient. I think Watford will have to suck up a lot of Brentford pressure early in this game. But I do think that once they've done that, they should feel free to impose their imprimatur on this game. And that means from the off, be ready, be sharp, and also be ready to defend and defend as a team, not just as a foursome. I expect that you'll see Danny Rose starting. I expect that you'll see Jeremy Ngakia possibly starting if Rose doesn't. And I think that you will certainly have the pairing that we've seen in the last few games, at least a game or two ago, with Cathcart and Truce to Kong, unless there is a dramatic change to that. Christian Cabasele is still, I think, probably maybe another few weeks away from coming back, but he is pretty much right there and almost ready, I think, from what I am learning. So it looks very good for Watford defensively coming forward in the next few weeks as we get to January and the transfer window, because we're going to get defenders back, but we need to fortify the ranks. No word on Nkulu. It looks like he's going to be out for a prolonged period, unfortunately. And with the African Cup of Nations coming, it's going to behoove Watford to get players in. But as for this game later tonight at Brentford, between Brentford and Watford, the Hornets are going to have to play a disciplined game. They will have to disrupt the press because Brentford are going to press Watford high. I think that Brentford will play a high line. Watford will have to find ways to stretch the pitch, beat the press, pass the ball out long and wide, and also make sure that the midfield is distributing the ball as quickly as it can, because I think the game here is going to be won or lost in midfield, even with the high press and even with the fact that the ball gets played quickly. You need your stabilizers in midfield to move the ball forward and move it quickly and distribute the ball as fast as they can. And the discipline has got to be there in terms of the defending, because I think if Watford can get each third of the pitch correct, if they can get the balance right between the attack, which I think has been very good the last few games, and the defense, which is showing signs of great improvement, I think you're going to see a very good Watford performance. Watford have played well lately. I think it's only a matter of time now before these results start to turn, and they could very well start to turn at Brentford on Friday night. This has been the Orns Friday Focus.